Hey, Sonograver here. Welcome to a pre-recorded video of me taking a survey in real time. That will not be pre-recorded. I will be taking a survey of my college, the University of Washington. The University of Washington asked me and probably all of its alumni to take a survey of how well it did preparing me for my musical career. Now, as you probably know, if you've heard me talk for some time, I have 3 music degrees, 2 of which came from the University of Washington. So I'm a Husky. I'm a Husky. I am an no, I'm an alumna, Husky alumna. Okay, that's how we're gonna say it. But anyway, yeah, so I have 2 bachelor's of music degrees from Seattle and then a master's from Milwaukee. So this is Seattle, and I'm going to take a survey based on my music composition experience. It is a music major and a music major, music education, music composition. They do share a lot of the same coursework, but I will also say it's pretty divergent as far as what I was prepared for with each degree. I mean, maybe I could take the survey twice and talk about music education, but I'm not a music school teacher. I'm not a public school music teacher. I'm a private instructor. I'm a private violin instructor who can teach piano as well and composition. But this survey is going to be for music composition and my experience in music composition. So if you are thinking of pursuing a music composition degree, this is particularly my experiences with Seattle. This will not always be relevant to maybe a different college in the States or outside the States. So this is based on my own personal experience. Take it with a grain of salt and let's have some fun. So I actually did a little bit of the survey already just to get, you know, uh, just to do the basics like, oh, how many degrees do you have? And all that basic information you don't need to see publicly. And also, it's not really that important. So we are getting into the details of the actual project, the Strategic National Arts Alumni Project, the partnership of this and the UW. And let's go ahead and be kind and then also be honest. So let me go ahead and switch to my page as I can see a little bit better. It's still looking good. All right, let me go ahead and grab some water too. And let's begin. Now they say, we'd like to ask you questions about your time at the University of Washington, Seattle. I'll go forward with saying UW because that's how we say it. Overall, how would you rate your experience at the UW while pursuing your degree? I said good. How connected do you feel to the College of Arts and Sciences at the UW? Well, then I felt somewhat good. And would you like, or would you recommend rather, the College of Arts and Sciences to UW to another student like you? Well, I'm not a student anymore, so that's one thing. Now, if I was talking to a student and they were getting, their preliminary material done, and they were just getting their general education taken care of, and they were thinking of pursuing a music composition degree, yeah, I would say, you know what? There's good faculty at the University of Washington. That said, if they were outside the school, if they were not a student and thinking about pursuing a music degree, I would say, well, if you're not already in the school, if you don't really like being a student, I would say no. There are many, many ways you can be self-taught as a composer. And maybe even someone who was a student just getting into the music school or maybe just before the music school, maybe I would say, hey, listen, why don't you try your hand in this, science degree or this, something outside humanities, because we do live in an information age where you can really absorb a lot of the main important things in humanities, not ever getting a college degree. So if they're wanting to do it, I would say, yes, the faculty is worth it. If they're just kinda needing some advice, I would say no. I would complete your 4-year degree in something else completely and work with that. You can be a self-taught composer and a good self-taught composer at that. So let's go ahead and continue. All right. Oh, it looks like they saved my answers. So I'll just go ahead and just read my answers for you. Please select the option that best describes how satisfied you were with the following opportunities at the College of Arts and Sciences at the UW. For instance, opportunities to perform, exhibit, and present your artistic work. I am very satisfied with that. They gave you ample opportunity as a music composer, as a composition student. They gave you a lot of opportunities to display your musical prowess and also your performance prowess. So there was that. Opportunities to take or work courses across different artistic or design disciplines. I would say as far as that, that was pretty rigid, and the only thing I could do as a music composer was to work in this department called DX Arts, which was digital arts. They explored visual media, um, visual installations, computer engineering, and all that. And that might have changed. I graduated 11 years ago with these two degrees, so a lot could have changed since then. But no, music composition was pretty rigid in its music coursework, and I really could only, travel just actually down the yard to not even 1,000 feet. I really couldn't explore. I didn't have time to explore the other artistic disciplines. That said, I did know doctorate students now that I think about it, I did know doctorate students who would actually work in theater and dance and all of that. So the opportunity is there, but the coursework kind of limited your ability and time to do that. So I was somewhat satisfied. Take non-art classes. That was not relevant to me because I completed all my general work at a community college. So there was nothing there for me. Uh, Opportunities to find an internship, apprenticeship, or other professional work training related to your career interests. I answered not relevant. I'm going to actually answer very dissatisfied because I think an apprenticeship or internship opportunity, especially when you're working with audio and audio quality and production, I really think the faculty, it would have behooved them and their students to learn to apply different skills in audio and things like mic setup, microphone setup, positioning of speakers, recording in professional studios. That was not at all. That was not at all introduced in the music composition coursework. And I really struggled with that. I didn't feel like I struggled with that at the time. I wish that was something you worked with every quarter of every year you studied under a composition faculty because you need to know how to record. You need to know how to do mic placement. You do need to know the basics of mixing. And at the very least, even with electronic music, you need to find someone, know how to hire a professional to mix and master your electronic music or your contemporary acoustic music or electroacoustic music. They did not teach me that. Not only did they not teach me how to explore those options in audio production and quality, they themselves, like the faculty, have recorded CDs, and it's on Spotify too, and things like Bandcamp. They've recorded things that are very subpar in audio quality. Whether it's mic placement, they didn't know how to mix, they didn't pay for a mastering engineer to work with them. I don't know what it is, but they know how to perform. These faculty, these composers know how to perform their main instruments, and they know how to compose for professionals, but they do not know how to get the physical media of their work. And that to me is so significant. Audio quality is just barely second to the actual composition itself. That's just my opinion. Having released 45 tracks now on Spotify, audio quality is everything. And so I really wish the professors gave the students the opportunity. This happened in Seattle. I can't speak for any other college. So, continuing, were there opportunities to network with the alumni? I would say somewhat dissatisfied. Now, The jazz students, the jazz department specifically knew how to network and perform frequently in the city of Seattle, and then they would probably travel and tour and go to different cities, or at least travel with their faculty to different places. There was a very good network system with the jazz students, the jazz department. Probably a little bit is true with the music education. Maybe most of the students were actually more chummy than they were professionals in the music. Actually, music education, the students, not so much the faculty, the students though, they were partiers. The music education students were partiers. Um, but that's besides the point. Uh, Networking with composition students, I actually not only would be saying that it was lacking, I would say it's something I would actually dissuade from students doing that, because at least in Seattle, the music composition department with the students, like the doctorates and the master students, and a little bit of the undergrad, just a little bit. I tried, and then I realized I didn't like it. Basically, they formed a clique, and forming a clique is not the same as networking. So the professors didn't really teach people how to engage and how to network with pro musicians, how to find a pro musician, how to work, like save up money to hire that pro musician. I learned I learned the hard way how to mistreat a musician trying to do your work. Like, I would say things not in spite or not anything malevolent, but I wouldn't know how to talk or to converse with a musician in a professional way. I would I didn't know how valuable their time was. I wouldn't pay them, and sometimes some of them would volunteer. They all volunteered, but I remember giving a gift to one girl out of like 10 people, and I'm like, 35-year-old me says, "No, you pay all of your musicians to play your music and get it recorded, or you don't do it at all." They didn't teach that. They did not teach you how to be a professional composer, how to treat musicians seriously. So I would say, maybe not even somewhat dissatisfied. I'll just say very dissatisfied. Network with artists, designers, and creative professionals. Very dissatisfied for the same reasons I just mentioned. Um, so let me go ahead and just kind of go down here. Integrate your artistic or design work with other subjects or issues of interest to you. Uh, that was more not relevant for me just by choice. So I didn't really get involved with like the dance community or the theater. I mean, I was a Shakespeare musician for 2 Shakespeare plays. That was fun. But as far as composing for such projects, I didn't do that. I had friends who did that. So, well, no, I think actually the friends who did that, they pushed for it, or they knew how to connect with people because they were older. The friends I had in the composition department were between 10 and 30 years older than me. So, they just had a lot more life experience to be able to do that. That wasn't anything of the college at all. All right. Please select the option that best describes how satisfied you were with the following aspects of your experience at the College of Arts. Overall quality of instructors. I really liked my professors. I was not afraid to ask hard questions, and they were not afraid to say if my questions were stupid. Or they would say it in a polite way, but they were really strict. They, if they didn't think well of your music, they would let you know. Now, honestly, they didn't teach me how to be argumentative in a proper way. I would be exploring things a lot on my own, um, but at the same time, they did engage me in exploring and experimenting. Experimentation was key at the University of Washington in Seattle, and for that's great, because even though my electronic music now that I work in is more accessible as it is eclectic, I still love to explore. I still, the time I can have in SuperCollider or also in Logic Pro, I want to really explore the different sounds and environments. So my professors really encouraged that little tick, just that tick I had to explore a lot of different things. So I would give still, even if I sorely disagreed with a lot of my professors, I would give them an A plus and A okay because I still I would probably disagree with a lot of them now, philosophically and musically speaking, but I still have some respect for these professors. Quality of advising about academics, career, and further education. The advising department was good, but they're different now. It's different people, but I can only say from my experience um, that it was good. I mean, it was music composition, so it wasn't the best. But as far as further education, like higher education, getting my master's, yeah, I would say pretty satisfied. Exposure to a broad view of career options, both in and out of arts and design. No. So this is actually really important here. Exposure to a broad view of career options, that was very much limited. My professors, whether they knew it or not, they had a very myopic view of the music composition department as far as students go. Students were really just meant to be students. So if you're an undergraduate, you were meant, they fostered you to become a master's, a graduate student getting your master's. And after that, a graduate student getting your doctorate, your DMA. And then after that, what? To become a tenured professor, of course. They really didn't they didn't ask until my very last day with my last professor in my master's in Milwaukee, who asked, "What do you want to do after this?" And then I started exploring. No one really guided me on what I wanted to do. Now, I had in mind to become a professor, and realized I no. So glad I didn't. But then after my master's, I was really satisfied. I didn't need to pursue a doctorate. So I'm like, maybe I'll teach at a community college. I tried to apply for different community colleges, and then it just never bore any fruit. So I was grateful for that because now I just can compose my own original music and work at a retail job or work at a teaching job and stuff like that, which is great. But they never encouraged me to explore teaching music privately. They never encouraged me to explore getting into audio internships and mixing for popular songs on the radio. There was never anything. It was very, very myopic. There was absolutely no exposure to um, creating just a plethora of optionalities. Just optionality, opportunities, optionality. That's what I meant to say. And so I would say, D minus for that because it was not good at all. And this is the music composition department. I can't speak for any other music department. How well, um, how well did your experience meet your expectations? I'm somewhat satisfied. I had a lot of fun as a student. I loved being a student. I wasn't a very good student as I am now. As not a student, I just love learning. But I really did like the college experience, like you're studying in the library, you smell the must of the old books, you're leafing through pages of these giant scores and stuff like that. I did like being a student, and I liked going to different performances and talking to different people. All right, now for the not so relevant stuff. And I have answers right here because I took this test a little bit earlier, but I may change those answers. So this is now what's important to the college. Again, just giving you some perspective. I graduated 2011. That was 11 years ago. Okay, we're getting into close to 12 years ago. So times have changed, priorities have changed. This is what they're asking. It's kind of amazing that they would ask all alumni because not all alumni thinks this is a really important thing, myself included. So let's continue. Learn about creative works from diverse cultures or from creators with diverse backgrounds within your coursework. I would say I answered this previously sometimes for my music education because you were taught as a music educator or music education major, you might be thrown into any kind of classroom with any kind of demographic. So you really should learn how to deal with diverse cultures. And it's great because you learn different cultures like, in Washington, really that area of the Northwest, a huge Native American population. So you learned how to work with Native American students. Now, I'm speaking with the survey, I'm speaking with my music composition, and I would say rarely. Now, on the one hand, I did see, diverse cultures like, learning to, or not learning, but rather seeing a concert of my faculty collaborate with, Vietnamese musicians with their Vietnamese instruments, and it was a really cool sonic experience. But other than that, unless I wanted to see a sitar performance, I would just or learn like an instrument from Ghana, I would just that interest was completely separate to what the college is demanding now. Like, you should know all this stuff. I'm like, it was there if you're interested, and if you weren't, it wasn't necessary because I learned Western classical music. I will that was the nature of it, and if you wanted to get an ethnomusicology degree and study in Tibet, you had the option to doing that, but for music composition, it happened when it happened, and if it didn't, there was no pressure. Next is learn from guest speakers, artists, or professionals who represent diversity of identities. And I'm talking about cultural diversity. I'm not talking about other stuff. And again, rarely. Learn about matters of racial justice and social equity within your coursework. I said never. This is my answer, never, because absolutely irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. And if it is integral to the coursework of music, it I would say with all honesty, it is not worth getting that music degree. Again, you can always talk about historical things. In fact, I would encourage people to talk about historical events and philosophies and socio-political things happening in the music scene, like, with big band and the rise of jazz and Civil War music and all that. Fine. That's fine. That's all fine. If it's pertaining to the topic at hand, which is music and how it really revolutionized music or changed music, like getting into rock music. What was the society, getting into rock music? Yeah, all that is really, really important. But as far as racial justice and social equity of our time, I mean, what are you talking about? Are you talking about actual students sitting in the classroom with me? We're pretty much treated equally. And I was in Seattle. I mean, it was primarily white American and Asians. Is primarily Korean, Chinese, Japanese, and white people. And we had some black students too, but it was, well, Seattle's probably different now than it was, 15 years ago, but it just like maybe there has been tension since, racial tension since, but I didn't need to learn about the matters of social equity. And if you want to take a look at my skin tone and accuse me of such ignorance, you can. That's fine. I'll probably mute your comment, but it's music, okay? It's not social services, it's not HR, it's not even history, and people could say, "Well, it's humanities." It's like, then we can cover the whole spectrum, if you know what I mean. So, never. It was not relevant at the time. Learn about artistic or creative practices from cultural backgrounds from, different within your own coursework. I mean, yeah, because you're studying French and Russian influences, that's different. You're studying Japanese music, especially in contemporary, 20th century music. Yeah, that's fine. That's part of learning just different music to you know foster this eclectic voice of yours in music composition. All right, going down. Work with an artist in a local community. I would say rarely. It just wasn't touched upon. I think the doctorate students who did more of that, they might have been encouraged by the faculty, but they were really more it was really more of a self-initiative kind of thing, so I'm just gonna say rarely. Work on a project with or, in a role serving the local community, actually, not really. I wasn't taught to do that, and, maybe that's changed. While enrolled at the College of Arts and Sciences at UW, how often did you feel the following: respected by your instructors and faculty? I'm gonna say rarely, but not that's not a bad thing. Like, if they thought I had stupid questions, they would kindly say, as much. They would say actually, I remember having this performance. I composed for 6 players, for 6 brass players, one of my last pieces before I left, um, and one guy didn't even show up. So, it was for 6 players and only 5 players showed up, and it was already an awful composition. It was so awful. And I was conducting them, just knowing every second of it was so awful. And I remember one of the faculty, he's this Frenchman, and people say, "Oh, he's not French, he's totally American." I'm like, "Man, I hadn't heard his accent in like 15 years. He is definitely French." And he's like, "Oh, Michelle, it was okay. Uh, your piece wasn't that great." That was a little bit more Romanian than French, but that was my really bad French accent. Um, and and I said, "Yeah, I agree," and then I walked away crying. And he was fine. Like I didn't hate him for that. I didn't feel, "Oh, you're disrespecting me." I was like, "No, I had to hear that kind of feedback." So, I appreciated the harshness. I appreciated them not needing to give me the respect. I was the one to give them respect. They were 30 years my senior. Who was I, this, up and coming 21-year-old, 22-year-old? I didn't need respect from them. Like, that's you don't need respect. You're not entitled to respect among your faculty. If you're given a compliment, you earned that compliment, and sometimes you slaved for that compliment. I mean, that was just my experience, and honestly, I don't mind that kind of environment. I don't mind that tough love, And I wouldn't even say it's love. Um, it was toughness. Like my faculty were really tough. I would go if I didn't do the work that was required of me. I felt the sting of that session. I would feel the sting of that lesson. I would cry and they would not care. And I wouldn't cry like to like manipulate them or whatever. I would just feel bad. So yeah, no, they were tough on me, and I know they liked me, but they were very tough on me too, and that was fine. I love that. Now, respected by your classmates. Yeah, I mean, because it's your classmates. I know where these questions are leading. They're like, "Oh, are you being treated fairly because of your certain ethnicity or whatever, or gender, whatever." Um, it was Seattle, okay? It was even back then. It was a very progressive city, and I was treated just fine. Treated differently by your instructors and faculty that affected you negatively? Never. Like, yeah, they made me cry, but that was a good thing. Treated differently by your classmates in a way that affected you that affected you negatively? Never. Valued by your classmates? I mean, okay, I'm just gonna say often because I had no negative experience by my classmates. Valued by your instructors and faculty? I mean, I would say again, I would say rarely. What was my last question? Yeah, rarely, and it's fine. They didn't have to value me, you know? If you would like to share more about your responses you provided about respect, being treated differently, or feeling valued, please use the text below. I don't need that. I should have said, "This is not important." In your opinion, how much did the College of Arts and Sciences at UW help you acquire or develop each of the following skills? Critical thinking skills. Okay. So even though I now probably would strongly disagree philosophically, my faculty, my instructors, my professors, they did teach me to stretch my thinking. So even though I'm very different from what I was 10 or 12 years ago, they did stretch my ability to think for myself, and not just think for myself, but actually stretch my own thinking. Like if I had certain musical bias or certain musical what's a good word? I don't want to say propensity, but kind of that, like the tendency of writing stuff, and then they would really challenge me to do the opposite of what I would always want to do, and I think that's valuable. So yes, I'm going to say very much. Business, financial, entrepreneur skills, not at all. Creative thinking and problem solving skills. I mean, it's music composition. I mean, working with the media, I would say very little. Unfortunately, they did not teach me pretty important stuff like microphone placement and how to set up to record a good recording. I mean, they didn't really teach me that. Communication skills. That's an honest that requires an honest answer. I would say my professors really did foster in me the need to learn and ask questions, but they they did it in such a rigid, strict way, and they understandably, they did hog a lot of the session time and the class time. So, there was kind of this fear of our faculty in the music composition department, even among the doctorates. And I wouldn't say it's like an abusive relationship, but you just really were more encouraged to listen. Now, I was 23 years old when I was in those rooms, and, as a 35-year-old now, I would be very comfortable in my skin to talk among the faculty and ask questions. So, back then, as an undergrad, no, you were sounds bad, and I don't mind this experience, but you were somewhat subservient as an undergrad, and I found that funny, actually. I was kind of amused by it myself, but I know that might be problematic to so many people. So I'm gonna say very little. Research skills, in music, not just composition, I'm gonna say the journal archives. I had one professor, but not in Seattle, one professor in Milwaukee. She taught me how to really read critically, and I didn't know until way later in my education that a lot of scholarly journals are just rubbish, that they're poorly written. They say in 4 paragraphs what they could have said in 4 sentences, and I was not taught to have a, kind of an editorial eye for scholarly research, so I'm gonna say very little. Footnotes, yeah, but that's nothing. Technology skills for Seattle, I have to say very little. I would say very, very little, if that was an option, but they did not know how to teach SuperCollider. If you were a programmer, you would know how to do SuperCollider. They just did not know how to teach. They try to integrate a class of programmers and music composition students. So the programmers, they were trying to teach music to programmers who didn't know music, and they were trying to teach programming to music students who didn't know programming. Not I guess you would call it a creative idea, but it was not a good idea. So, let's go ahead and say very little for technology skills. I learned much more technology in Milwaukee. So, there's that. Artistic technique. Um, Not really. I'm gonna say very little because they didn't tell me how to discipline myself. They because, you would think now for me too, like now, again, in my 30s, I would say, "Well, no, have self-initiative, do the work yourself." And that's the mindset of the professors, but really professors, what they need to do is actually work work it in like a muscle. They have to work their students. And it was a lot of weekly visits and weekly classes where it's like, "Did you do your work?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then it's like, "This is garbage." And I'm like, "Yeah, but tell me how it's garbage and tell me what I can do to be better." It's like they didn't really they had a lot of insight on music and what to achieve with music composition. They explored a lot of different methods and a lot of different composers and a lot of different influences, but they didn't really teach you how to work your muscle. Like work your work muscle, work your discipline until you compose every day. They did not tell you the importance of composing every day. I remember in my master's, I would go 4 weeks without composing for the winter break, and instead I would read science fiction. Now I compose every day. Besides Sundays where I really write and then hang out with my prof, I compose every day. I work a little bit every day, even if it's just, like, an hour. Um, so, yeah, they didn't really teach they taught artistic technique in a philosophical way, like, "Oh, you're exploring these different things," but they didn't they uh, they didn't really like go into the details of how to engrave on a music score or how to, talk professionally to musicians. Now they might have done that with the doctorate students, but they didn't really do that with the undergrad. Project management skills, not at all. That could have been much better. That could have been a much better experience for me. Networking and relationship building skills, no, because these were a bunch of artistic recluse uh, um, how much did your coursework develop each of the following abilities? Okay, let's see what this is. To be resilient and to pick yourself up when things do not go as planned. Um, what do I say? Do I say very much because my professors made me feel like crud a lot of the times? Or not at all because it's like that's almost not relevant to music composition. Uh, oh man, how do I answer this? I haven't seen the survey yet. To be resilient, to pick yourself up. No, like no, that's not relevant. To adapt to changing circumstances. No, it's music. It's music history and theory. Okay. To recognize opportunities to advance your ideas or your career, not at all. Not at all. To collaborate with others from cultures and demographics different from your own. I mean, like if I had like that again in music, it doesn't matter. Like I would just have the same if I was composing for flute, I would have the exact same need to ask a white person versus a black person or an Asian person who plays flute. Whoever is the better player and then can take on my techniques that I ask them to play, I would ask them no matter who it was. So again, this is irrelevant to music. To evaluate multiple approaches to solving a problem. This is more sciences. This has to be more sciences and things like engineering because you don't solve a problem with music composition. I mean, you do, but it's not like on the level of civil engineering. So I'll just say very little. Did you do the following while at the College of Arts and Sciences at the UW? Complete a portfolio, a document, record of your cumulative artistic work, and thesis capstone project. I did. I actually, as an undergrad, it was not required that you did an undergraduate recital for music composition. It was a requirement for music performance and music. I think no, not music education, not for undergrad. And I decided to do recital because everyone else was doing it, and I wanted to try it myself. It was okay. It was very short, very short. It was like a 35-minute performance. But I did that, and then I completed a portfolio the following year. I did not have a capstone project for my wait, did I? No, I had that for my master's. So I'm gonna say if you're I did actually record at the UW for a portfolio for a different things, so I will say yes, because it was within the year, so I still knew everyone. Utilize career service offerings? No, that was not, "Hey, I need a music composer for this." No, that was not a thing. Hollywood didn't reach out to us, that's for sure. Complete an internship, apprenticeship, and other professional work training relevant to your degree. Again, that was asked earlier. I don't know why they ask it again. And that should be a thing. Again, like the composers really need to. You can't make money as a composer unless you really just have so many listeners on Spotify. You really need to work as an audio producer, like producing good quality audio recordings, sound effects, maybe compose music for libraries and stuff like that. They didn't teach us this. They did not teach us optionality. Maybe that's changed, but they did not teach us how to really expand our skills and explore other options. So I will say no. Let's continue. I don't know how long this is. I didn't mean it to be this long, guys. When enrolled at the College of Arts and Sciences at UW, did you use any of the following types of assistance? Visual, no. Assistance, speaking language, no. Emotional or behavioral supports or assistance. Hey man, I just accepted the abuse and that was fine. Assisted listening, nope. Intellectual, cognitive, or developmental, nope. Um, Mobility assistance, for example, automated doors. Oh my gosh, people use the automated doors all the time. I didn't. I opened the doors. They. I'm sure that was broken after a while. People would just use the automated doors all the time to get in. Just like, just open the door. Just open the door. No, no assistance. Is there anything that the College of Arts and Sciences could have done better to prepare you for your career and further education? Yes, my professors didn't teach me to explore professional, well, let me spell professional right, professional options outside the academic space. I'd even reread that sentence to make sure it was grammatically correct. All right. And after leaving the University of Washington, Seattle, how long did it take for you to obtain a full-time working for pay more than 35 hours? I mean, full-time. I worked a full-time job like right after because I always work. That's the thing. Is like I worked as a student. I worked before I was a student. I always had a job. Um, yeah, I mean, I obtained work prior to leaving. How closely was it not related? Your long-term not related? Here we go. Now we'd like to ask you some questions about your employment. Do tell. Okay. Have you ever been self-employed, independent contractor, or freelance worker? I mean, let's see. Yes, I do this currently. Yes, I've done it in the past, but no longer do. I would say yes currently, but very little. I wish it was a scale. Were you working for pay or for profit? Were you working for pay or profit during a typical week in September? Yes, I was. But that's because I asked questions. I ask people if they need work, like, hey, do you need music for something? Pay me. I'm like, yeah, we'll pay you. Sometimes they pay me way more than I'm expecting. During a typical week in September, how many hours? I would go that. Actually, some of it was, I'll say 11 to 20. One employer during a typical week. Yeah, teaching. Yes, teaching. Yep, that's fine. I'm sorry, I'm kind of reading it without reading it. They were asking if you taught performance arts or music or something. Managing or administering programs? Nope. Managing artists? Nope. Creating, rehearsing, performing music, dance? I haven't done gigs actually since last year. But I teach. But it's yeah. I'll be honest. It's like no. If you asked me last year, I'd have said yes. Creating, planning, or showing visual arts? Nope. Editing, publishing, showcasing designs, or creative writing. I do edit, but that's for me and that's for someone else too. So I guess that can, but that's just for me, and that's science fiction. That's separate to my music degree. But I'll answer anyway. Use of expertise in artistic design, architecture, creative writing techniques. Yeah, for my YouTube channel. Use of expertise in public community engaged social practice art. Yeah, for my YouTube channel. So yeah, there we go. But again, no one taught me the importance of having my own YouTube channel. I had to come up with this myself. Do you currently work in arts design, including teaching? Yeah, I do. I mean, very few hours. I picked up a retail job just recently because it's just the hours are so few. It has a list: arts educator, craft designer, film, musician. Yeah, musician. I'm not paid as a writer, so I won't say writer. And that's it. Do you currently work? Yes. Communications, financial, office, sales. Yeah, I just picked up a job, so I have to be answering that. Please select the occupation in which you spend most of your paid time. I would say musician. Yeah. What is the most important resource to which you currently do not have access but need to advance your artistic and design career? Um, Equipment. Equipment is one of them, that is for sure. I don't need professional networks, and I don't need technological support. Oh my gosh, guys, this is a long survey. Yeah, well, this is StreamYard, so this is gonna be a long. It's almost midnight. Dang it. um, Thinking about your paid work in September, indicate the level of satisfaction, job security, somewhat dissatisfied, opportunity for advancement. I'm optimistic, somewhat satisfied. Pay or earnings, somewhat dissatisfied. It could be more. Benefits, very dissatisfied. I don't get benefits. Flexibility of work hours. I have been very satisfied as a teacher uh, for work hours. Work location, very satisfied because I'm mostly online. I do teach at a music store, but it's just for an afternoon until I get more students. Level of responsibility, very satisfied. Opportunity to contribute to society. I think teaching music is great. Opportunity to be creative, very satisfied. Opportunity to be intellectually challenged, always satisfied because I always learn. Alignment with your values, very satisfied. I speak my views on YouTube, and people might contend with me, and that's fine. Degree of independence. Yeah, it's been good. I would say, yeah, very good overall job satisfaction. I would say yes. How important was each of this? This is a long survey. I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can. Critical thinking skills. Oh my gosh, it's the exact same list as they asked for my degree. I'm going to say slightly important. Okay, critical thinking skills, slightly important. Business, financial, entrepreneur, slightly important. Problem solving, slightly important. Communication, I would say very important. Research skills, slightly important. Important for technology, artistic technique, very important because I have to play violin well to teach it, as well as compose well to teach it. Project management skills, very important. Actually, no, not important at all. I haven't done any admin work as a teacher, which has been great. Networking and relationship building skills, good, important. Ability to be resilient, not important. None of this is important. Ability to adapt, none of this, not important. Recognize and advance your ideas. Ability to collaborate with people from different cultures. Again, it's not important. If you just like people, you're going to be with people, all kinds of people, in fact. So, yeah, none of this is important. I wish it was saying not relevant. I mean, it is important, but I'm just having this be synonymous with not relevant. Yeah. How often do you feel the following in your paid work? Respected? Sure, often. I don't care. Treated differently in a negative way? Never. Valued by your coworkers? Often. Overall, to what extent would you say your career is related to your field of study, training in the college? I'm going to say not related. So, College of the Arts and Sciences at the UW, I'm sorry. I mean, for music composition, for music education, I learned to be a teacher. But at the same time, you can learn to be a teacher without a music degree. You can absolutely be a private music teacher. If you know your instrument, if you know music, you could be a teacher. You don't need a music education degree to be a music teacher. Even if studios would prefer a degree, you don't need to. So this is my career is not in any way related. Well, not in some ways related to the College of Arts and Sciences. Overall, to what extent would you say your career draws upon the skills, abilities developed during the time? I'll be honest and say very little. Based on your experience, because guys, like the electronic music that I work in now, I did not learn or could not learn at the school. I really, with extra practice, I really was self-taught. But thanks to Eli Fieldsteel for his SuperCollider videos, I was able to learn a lot of SuperCollider. That's just one example. Based on your experience, how important is having a degree in arts, design, or a related management field to advancing your career in arts design? I'm going to say not important. That's to anyone considering a music degree, like music composition, I would just say just compose music, just work in Logic Pro, just explore. You don't need a degree to do that. So for music composition, I absolutely love my professors. I still would think highly of them even now with my different philosophical ways of thinking, different philosophies, different things on music and life and the spirituality and everything else. Yeah, I would definitely disagree with my professors on probably a number of things. I still highly respect them. Um, but really they were the ones to teach me to explore and to experiment. But other than that, I would say I had it in me already to learn and to be self-taught. So I will say, UW, you were fun. It was great. It was a good time. I had good times. I made friends. I made a lot of different friends. But at the end of the day, as to what I am doing now and what I hope to achieve in the near future, I didn't need a degree to know all of this. So, but at least I have a degree. And to tell you people on YouTube what I think about things in art, I actually do have a handful of degrees, 3 degrees. So I know what I'm talking about at least. But at the same time, as far as composing electronic music, I didn't need a degree for that. So, in any case, not important. Continue. Are we done? Ugh. No. Okay. No. No COVID. Ah. Okay. Okay. 1 second. I'm just gonna take a quick break. Um, this is so. Oh my gosh, we're at what 51 minutes. Hopefully, we're done soon. I'm going to be extra cheeky now. I want to be done. All right. What are they asking? This is not this, by the way, the letter to this survey, the letter with this survey attached, they said, oh, it's only going to take 20 minutes. Now, it might have only taken 20 minutes, but I was talking, so that's fair. So let's go back. Now, we'd like to ask you some questions about things, what things were like for you just before the widespread onset of the pandemic. Please think back to the things were like for you before early March 2020, just before the pandemic started to spread across the United States. In general, were you doing the same kind of work or in similar occupations? Yes, I was. And I just went from the classroom to the physical classroom, or from the physical classroom to the Zoom session. Yeah, it was a huge transition, but um, it was fine. It was absolutely fine. In early March 2020, was there any work for pay or profit considered to be self-employment, freelance worker? No. I think I was strictly working for the studio, so I will say no. I mean, I was well. I mean, I was an independent contractor with them, so yeah, I'll just say yes. Oh man, why is this so important since the onset? How much of your work has been related to arts? Most of my, yeah, more of my work. Which of the following changes apply? Change the content style. Yeah, that's it. Uh, how has since the onset of the pandemic, how important has it been to you to update and learn new skills to advance your career? Very important. I kept learning, so yeah. Technology skills. That's what I learned. Tech-based production skills. Yep. Uh, business, kind of like outreach on YouTube. Uh, but I'll refrain from checking that. Skills in artistic design. Yep. Skills in anti-oppressive practices. What the oppressive of the virus? The oppression of the virus? Oh my gosh. Skills to facilitate this. This is so irrelevant. Ugh, man, where did you acquire new skills to advance your career? Um, I just did stuff. Self-taught. Yeah, self-taught. That's it. That's all. If at all, what was your paid? How, if at all, was your paid work affected between mid-March and February 2021? I did get a pay cut. Why is this important? I just realized. That's all I'm gonna say. Now we'd like to ask you some questions about resources. Oh my gosh. This is kind of getting resources to use. Just stop. Earnings from employment. That's all I'm gonna say. How much? That's probably just not anything I need to say on online. Just employment 0, 0. This isn't truthful, but I don't want this public. All right. So, now this is actually getting into more personal based. So, I think we'll probably okay, in the next 5 minutes, if I don't see an end in the next 5 minutes, I'll stop. But this is becoming an hour-long video. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Just treat this like a stream, guys. Just treat this like a stream. Possible future. Are you open to possible future contacts participating in research that seeks to better understand the lives and careers of arts design? No. Nope. We would like to ask you your background, how you identify yourself. Why? Why? That's how they're asking it. College and university leaders, policymakers, and researchers want to know whether different groups have fundamentally similar or different educational experiences. By providing this information, you will help us answer these very important questions. If you would like, I could do this maybe just for fun. If you'd like to, please share a few words or phrases you describe your own identity. For example, some people identify themselves as parents based or based on familiar relationships, based on religious beliefs. I'm just gonna say Christian. Yes, I'm a Christian artist. What best describes your identity? What if I didn't say white? I'll say white. Oh, you know what though? Well, they would know, but yeah, just say white. Just be a stick in the mud. What is your age? In years, 35. Which best describes your gender identity? Woman, man. That's I'm gonna say prefer not to answer. Gender identity is not listed. Two-spirit? I hadn't heard of that before. Which best describes your current sexual orientation? Let's just you know what? I'm just gonna say prefer not to answer to all of them because this is so irrelevant. This is so super duper irrelevant to music. What is your current marital status? Single or prefer? Actually, I'll say prefer not to answer. Yeah, that's dumb. Yeah. No, I'm not a legal guardian. Oh wait, yeah. I'll for a moment I'll stop sharing that that information. I guess it's just gonna be like, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Are you parent or legal guardian? No. Yeah. No, it's just personal stuff. Finished my master's. What would you describe your social gosh, this is what they're asking. What would you best describe? How would you best describe your family's social class during teen years? Lower class, working class, middle class, upper class. Working class is the UK, so I'm just going to say what I said. Not going to put that up there. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So now they're asking for my income, and just basically. No, man, I have really low income. I should have answered that I was white. So anyway. Yeah. Just yeah. Okay. All right, are we done? Are we done? Okay. They're asking me if I had like more updates on them. Okay. Done. Done and done. Okay. So that was about 60 minutes. So anyway, yeah, that's it. They said thank you for sharing your views, and we've got that. So hopefully you found that insightful. I had fun ranting. I had no idea what that survey was going to sound like, and I just realized I spent 60 minutes crossing my legs in one direction, and now I feel really stiff. Anyway, that is it. So I probably will. You'll probably have seen this as a pre-recorded video. Maybe I'll be in the chat. Maybe I'm in the chat right now, talking to you guys. So anyway, that was fun. So again, I really do value my education in some respect. More with my master's, but I did really respect my faculty. But at the end of the day, if you're a music composer or if you're interested in learning to compose music and you think maybe I should get a degree, I would say this: you've got YouTube. You've got people to teach you for free the basics of music, the fundamentals, and the things that you need to compose music. If you want to compose music that is accessible, that people really do like. And my hair feels really stringy right now, so yeah, I'm gonna do it. We actually comb my hair because it feels really sticky right now. But in any case, yeah, there we go. I feel better now. But this is my midnight look anyway, so whatever. Yeah, if you're wanting to do music, besides getting your music education degree, you really don't need a music degree. If you wanted to be a public school teacher, yeah, you have to have a music education degree. But if you want to be a composer and you just want to compose music and produce music and release it on Spotify, all you need is just the self-initiative, the discipline, the ability to practice every day, and you're going to get good. You're going to get good, and you won't be in debt for it. But at the end of the day, I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with what I've experienced, and we will leave it at that. So until I see you next, thank you so much for watching and going through this whole survey with me, and I will see you later. Take care.